What can you tell us about this latest investigation of influence peddling on a sitting president? I know that you're planning a press conference this Wednesday. What will we learn?
Well, Senator Grassley and I received a tip on a whistleblower. Senator Grassley was the lead in this. We reviewed documents from the legally protected whistleblower, highly credible whistleblower that would implicate Joe Biden in a pay-for-play scheme, in trying to set up a deal to receive funds to he and his family in exchange for foreign policy decisions. Now, that fits a pattern, Maria, of what we've seen with these bank records. And on Wednesday, we're going to present to the American people all the information that we've received thus far pertaining to bank records. We're going to disclose many of the different LLCs, many of the different transactions that all these different Biden family members have gotten from our adversaries around the world. Now, we don't believe this was just a coincidence that all these Biden family members were receiving money from this web of LLCs into their personal bank accounts. We believe this was done in exchange for something that then Vice President Biden and now President Biden would have done. So this whistleblower is going to provide some very crucial information to our investigation, and we've given the FBI until May the 10th to produce this document. So the ball is in the FBI's court with respect to this whistleblower.
You are sure that this document exists?
100%.
What if they don't release the document by May 10th? What if they decide to indict Hunter Biden for having a gun illegally before your press conference?
My message to the Department of Justice is very loud and clear. Do not indict Hunter Biden before Wednesday, when you have the opportunity to see the evidence that the House Oversight Committee will produce with respect to the web of LLCs, with respect to the number of adversarial countries that this family influence peddled in. This is not just about the president's son. This is about the entire Biden family, including the president of the United States. So we believe there are a whole lot of accounts that the IRS and the DOJ don't know about, because we don't believe they've done a whole lot of digging in this. And we have. We've spent the past 100 days poring over bank documents. I've used subpoena power to get these bank documents. We've been meeting with former associates of the Bidens in their different influence peddling schemes. We've been meeting with whistleblowers. We know exactly what this family was doing. And by all accounts from the media reports that we're getting, what they're looking at charging Hunter Biden on is a slap on the wrist. It's a drop in the bucket. So Wednesday will be a very big day for the American people in getting the facts presented to them so that they can know the truth. And then the Department of Justice can finally do what they should have done years ago.
What?
Well, obviously, the president's son's committed many crimes. I mean, you're looking at potential money laundering. Jonathan Turley comes on Fox all the time and talks about he was essentially a foreign agent for countries like China. He's an unregistered foreign agent. Those are serious crimes. You've got the possible racketeering. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. And again, Maria, it's not just the president's son. And we don't believe these countries were paying the Biden family for nothing. We believe they were getting a return on their investment, and the return on the investment would have been policy decisions for then Vice President Joe Biden and current President Joe Biden.
How much money do you believe the Biden family has taken in? How much money have you been able to identify of cash going to Biden family members?
Well, we're going to dive into that on Wednesday, but it's millions and millions of dollars. I can say that. Hopefully people will pay attention on Wednesday when we have this press conference and they can see actual bank records. So, another thing that's important to note with this investigation, Maria, and I think will make it even more interesting on Wednesday, is more and more evidence is pointing towards Joe Biden. I mean, obviously, Joe Biden was involved in all these things, despite the fact that he's lied to the American people, despite the fact that his press secretary continues to lie about it. We've already produced one wire from one LLC, totaling over $1 million to 4 different Biden family members. And now we're going to produce an additional 5 Biden family members, more countries, more LLCs, more bank accounts. I mean, this thing is much bigger than anyone would have ever predicted. And it all points towards Joe Biden, the big guy.
This is just incredible. So is this money laundering? Is this racketeering? What? They were just taking money and changing policy decisions and announcing policy decisions on behalf of America and pocketing the cash.
Yeah, the LLCs were set up to disguise the sender of the money and to deceive the IRS so they wouldn't have to pay taxes. Or else the countries would have just wired the money directly to the Bidens. But they tried to do it through a web of LLCs. I was a director of a bank for over a decade. There's a term that banks use for that. It's called money laundering. And obviously the bank violations that we looked at Treasury, many banks suspected the same thing. So the Department of Justice has a whole menu of options to go after this family on, not just the president's son, but this family. And it's not going to be lying on a gun application or not paying taxes for 1 or 2 calendar years. I don't think they realize how many different LLCs and how much different money the Bidens laundered into their personal accounts. So there's a whole lot of information here for the Department of Justice to use. And by all accounts, I don't think they're aware of the majority of it.
One of the critical decisions that this president made during the first couple of weeks of his presidency was to cancel the China initiative. This is a Trump-era initiative, which was actually indicting those people who were getting paid by communist China to send intellectual property and information from America back to China. Secretary Pompeo closed down the entire Houston embassy over the surveillance and that, as well as others. Is the China initiative cancellation one of those decisions that Joe Biden got paid for?
Well, it's very suspicious why he did it. I mean, this is one of the worst decisions with respect to national security that Joe Biden made as president. And he did it right out of the bat. And the person that he had that at the time that was making the pitch to the FBI to drop the China initiative because they said it was racially profiling Asian student was the then president of the University of Pennsylvania, who is now Biden's appointee as ambassador to Germany. And remember, the University of Pennsylvania was getting tens of millions of dollars from anonymous donations from China. Maria, this stinks to high heaven. The amount of money that China has sent Biden and Biden family entities has apparently impacted many decisions that this administration has made that were adversarial to every American. Our national security is at risk because of bad policy decisions that Joe Biden made that put China first and America last. And for me to see all these bank records and all these deposits from the Chinese Communist Party directly to the Biden family members, I mean, it's pretty disgusting. And I can't wait until Wednesday to present this to the American people. And I'm anxious to see how the mainstream media covers this, because the New York Post, the New York Times, Washington Post, MSNBC, NBC, ABC, I don't even think they covered the whistleblower that Senator Grassley and I presented. They didn't even cover that. I mean, that's a pretty big story. A credible whistleblower comes forward and says the Vice President of the United States was trying to shake down a foreign national in exchange for foreign policy decisions.
Another decision that we've discussed in the past was that memorandum of understanding that Biden signed as vice president back in 2013. That allowed hundreds of Chinese companies to trade on U.S. exchanges and not follow any U.S. auditing rules. That enabled these companies to enter America and get huge money raising from U.S. investors. Was that one of the decisions?
Well, I mean, that's another very bad decision that put China first and America last. I mean, you know this, Maria. I used to watch you on CNBC all the time. I mean, a publicly traded company has to go through so many compliance requirements, so many auditing requirements. And he just, with the struggle of the pen, allows the Chinese companies to go in and bypass all this. It puts China at another competitive advantage over the United States in attracting American capital. I mean, this president has always put America last and China first. And I think the walls are coming in on this family. And Wednesday is going to be a big day with respect to transparency and with respect to credibility of congressional investigations.
Real quick before you go, I'll be focused on Wednesday, and we certainly want to get you back after that press conference. But what if they do not adhere to this? What if they refuse to turn over that memo? What are you going to do about Merrick Garland, the head of the DOJ? What about Christopher Wray at the FBI? Will you move to subpoena, impeach? What can you do? What levers do you have if they say, no, we're not giving you any document?
Well, Senator Grassley and I have a plan B. We hope to not have to employ plan B, but we will. So I've still got a little bit of confidence in the majority of the employees at the FBI and the DOJ, not the top. I lost confidence in the top a long time ago, but hopefully there will be enough people that will put pressure on the leadership to do the right thing and be transparent with the House Oversight Committee and the American people.
Okay, we will leave it there. Mr. Chairman, thanks very much. We will be waiting for your news on Wednesday. House Oversight Committee Chairman, Congressman James Comer.